Hi, my name is Christy. Welcome to my channel, where as a YouTube taught sewer over quarantine, I'm going to attempt to take old stuff and turn it into new stuff. Hopefully nice new stuff that I'm not going to be embarrassed to show at the end. But you know what? I'm a new sewer. I make mistakes. So I'm going to show you my mistakes. And even if it looks terrible at the end, I'm still going to show you. So this video, I'm going to take a pink blouse and turn it into like a swimsuit cover-up kind of thing. It was sheer, so I didn't really have many options. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. And if you wouldn't mind, I would love you to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. I'm so excited. Let's get started. So here's the blouse. I really like the cute pink flowered print. It has a tie in front and a now super stretched out elastic ruffle detail that keeps falling off my shoulders. It's kind of shapeless, not quite in style anymore, with big floppy sleeves, but other than the stretched out ruffle, the fabric is still in good condition. To start this project, I'll need to first take off the sleeves and undo the sleeve seam. Magic. Just kidding. That actually really took a long time to seam rip off for some reason. So I'd like to reuse the ruffle and tie, perhaps at the waist, like a drawstring type skirt. But when I tried it on as a skirt, I found out I have a little too much booty to achieve the flowy skirt look I'm envisioning. So instead of using the sleeves for a ruffle along the bottom or something, I'll need to sew them on the sides to widen the skirt. I am really still in the I don't know what I'm gonna do yet phase here. And here is where I need to get serious and just make a decision already and do the first cuts. I decided to cut off the ruffle and tie, making sure I leave at least a ½ inch for seam allowance. Cutting off both sides. Make sure the blouse is completely flat and straight. For a frame of reference, I measure the length of the skirt, which is just shy of 16 inches to where I want to cut. Measure from the bottom of the skirt up and mark with fabric chalk. I decided to keep the existing bottom hem to save some time. Connect the marks. Add a few pins to keep the fabric in place and cut. So I've tried the garment on again inside out to pin how much I need to take in at the waist and let out on the sides. With right sides together, use chalk to mark and pin each side only to the point where I'll need to add the extra fabric. And sew both sides, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end and remove pins as you go. Still inside out, flip the garment in half to pin the extra fabric to the sides. Here I'm just lining up the bottom first to get the most fabric, then I'll pin along the gap to the top. So it's kind of hard to tell with this fabric, but I have pinned right sides together along the gap. Then I'll flip it over so you can kind of see the other side of the panel. You'll want to start sewing each side from the top of the panel to make sure it's in the right spot. Manually lower the needle into the fabric at the top of the V. Backstitch. Whew, I used a lot of pins here. And another one. And sew. Okay, I don't know why my sewing machine has gone into Smurf blue mode. It does not make it easy to see. I'm so sorry about that. backstitch and trim the threads. Same thing for the other side. First line it up at the point of the V, backstitch and sew. Here's what it looks like after sewn, but before ironed flat. So I tried it on and noticed a puckering on one side, so while investigating, I found out that I accidentally sewed the corner of one of the panels to the other side. Not happy, as you can tell from my disapproving, unmakeuped face. Sewing fail. So once again, seam ripping time. After resewing my boo-boo, I've safely trimmed away the excess from the side panels and I'm now trimming off the extra fabric at the hemline. I've left a 1/2 inch to be able to match the original hem. And same for the other side. Now I need to figure out the waistband. I want to reattach the ruffle, but it's not long enough to reach around the entire front and back. Using the 2 pieces I just trimmed from the hemline, put them right sides together. Straighten, pin, and sew where my fingers are to make the back of the waistband. The ruffle for the front waistband is 2 inches tall, and the 2 pieces I just sewed together is about 6 inches tall. Down, down, there it is. So many challenges. Okay, here's the math part. We need to double the 2-inch ruffle size to 4 inches and add 1/2 inch for seam allowance. Measure and chalk mark 4.5 inches to cut. Luckily, this doesn't need to be perfect. So what I've done here is I've used a super narrow 1/4 inch seam allowance to sew along the length of the waistband. Luckily, this one is wide enough to be able to turn it right side out without the assistance of a safety pin, even though I am still struggling a lot here. I'm gonna speed this up to cut my embarrassment a little bit. So now I just need to iron it flat and attach. So in hindsight, there is probably a better way to do this, but I chose to sew the front ruffles on first. I flipped them so they are right sides together and pinned in place. Okay, seriously, that first pin gave me so many issues. So many issues. Okay, you know what pinning looks like. I'm just gonna fast forward. Back to the Smurf Machine to sew right along the original seam so it blends nicely. Okay, now to figure out the back waistband. To make sure it fits my waist nicely, I'm adding a medium width strip of elastic. I'm going to stretch it a bit so that it gently gathers the fabric, but won't be too tight on my waist. Okay, I've sewn one side of the front ruffle to the smooth back waistband and have trimmed off the excess. Then I've pinned the back waistband to the top of the skirt with right sides together. On this end, I want to keep it open so that I can feed the elastic through. And sew. Okay, here's what it looks like after the back waistband is attached. Feed the elastic through the open end and tack it down on the right side with a zigzag stitch. Then we can close the open waist seam. Finally to the point where I get to feed the elastic through, and don't worry, I spared you the struggle. Just one of those days where everything is hard. You are welcome. Anyway, I lined up the elastic with the front tie and pin in place, then go back and forth over the end of the elastic with a few zigzag stitches. And by the way, I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but I'm using a ballpoint needle because the fabric is super lightweight. Here's where the Smurf Machine actually is kind of helpful for what I'm about to demonstrate, but this is where you just need to find the point where the elastic stretches where you want it and pin it in place, and then a couple more zigzag stitches to tack it down. Now all that's left to finish the waistband is to just sew the other front ruffle to the back along the side. Then close the gap and trim the excess. Last step, everyone, is just to finish the hem. It's super easy. All you have to do is just fold over twice so that's even with the original hem. You can pin it and sew it, or just kind of eyeball it, either way, and we are done. So here's the final product. This tired old blouse went from stretch to fetch. Okay, yeah, no one says that anymore. Anyways, despite my mistakes and my challenges, I'm actually really happy in the way it turned out. Thanks for joining me, everyone. If you like this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons to see future real-life challenges from a YouTube-taught sewer. Please feel free to leave a comment if you have any ideas for a future project. Make it a great day.